Good morning, everybody. I'm Sai Rashmi from USMLE.info. Here we have Dr. Harsha Boppana with us, who's very kind enough to come on to our webinar once again. And we've discussed this long back, Dr. Harsha, that you would come back and we would talk only about research. So you've done your research in John Hopkins University of Minnesota Medical School, and you've also done some research, like a visiting researcher in UC San Diego. So welcome. How have you been today?
It's been really good with the maths and everything. It's been really peaceful. I'm getting good sleep. I just woke up. You can just see, I just got up and it's been amazing. Everything's been amazing. Thank you so much. How have you been?
Awesome. Awesome. So first we would like any of the guests to, sorry, the attendees to like go ahead, unmute, and ask your questions to Dr. Harsha about research because he does have a vast experience in John Hopkins University of Minnesota. And I'm going to ask my questions that I have for you. Your research journey has been so vast, and you have applied through like emails. And so how did you approach your research, the coordinator or anything to get that position?
So I think initially my medical school has a central research laboratory. So I think that was the biggest step for us. So me and my best friend, both of us were interested in this research since our second year of med school, right? So every day, right after 4 p.m. of our classes, we used to go and sit with this PhD person, who is Dr. Nagarjuna, who helped us with this research initially. So we used to go and sit with him for like 1 hour. And that's how we got two publications while we were in med school. So I used that kind of experience uh, to email people all over the United States. I think the first time when I was applying, it was really, really hard for me to get a position. So right after step one, I was looking for this research positions, and then emailed this person of pain medicine in UC San Diego. He was regional anesthesia and pain medicine. So I think that's how it started in April 2022. It was mostly on artificial intelligence and machine learning. So that's where the interest comes from. So I was doing that, but I always wanted to go to this being from, I don't know, I think all of our Indians love Harvard, Stanford, and Johns Hopkins. So I think I always had this dream of going to into that such kind of institutions, at least for research, if I don't know if I'd get into residency or not. So that's how I was. After I came back, after I was in UC San Diego, I thought this is not the end. I should do more. So I emailed people in these three institutions only. But fortunately, this time I got interviews from all these places that, oh yeah, we are interested. I think having already having a position would definitely help you getting more like a bigger institute, like a bigger step. It definitely help you. So I think I had an interview from Stanford and also Johns Hopkins, but I liked the professor who was at Johns Hopkins, which I'm really fortunate I did that step. So we met, and then we had a couple of Zoom meetings, and then he was like, "Yeah, you should come on board." So I moved to Johns Hopkins at 2023 March, and he knew I would apply for math cycle, and he was very supportive. So that way, I think all this research experience was going on since 2 years, and the initial plan was to apply for last year's cycle, but I couldn't. So this time I applied, and then everything just happened. I think research definitely helps in not only getting you publications, but also having a person behind you as a mentor. My professor personally emailed 50 programs saying that this person is definitely worth, you should just take him and give him interviews and that kind of stuff. He used to reach out to his friends and all other stuff. And also it's like after you get interviews during the rank order list, he again sends a email saying that, hey, he's been amazing, you should just take him. He did everything he could for me, for my part. So I'm really grateful for such mentors, to have them. I think that's how the research experience has been for me.
Awesome. And I see that again, if anybody wants to ask any question, just raise your hands and I'll let you ask your question about research because he's Yeah, sure. Go ahead and ask your question.
Hello, Dr. Boppana. Thank you for joining us. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, yes, I can.
Okay, okay. So I want to ask, so uh, for someone who doesn't have any experience in research, who doesn't have a research background, so while applying to these places, while reaching out to them, before doing that, what are some things that we should equip ourselves with? Anything that we should learn, or anything that we should do before? So when we talk to the professors, we will have some knowledge to at least to be prepared to talk to them.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. So I think even before I was applying, I came to know that there are certain courses that you could take to get into research. Like, if you search, I'm sure Harvard, Johns Hopkins has certain courses. But other than that, learning Python, learning software R, and any other data analysis skills like MATLAB or anything, couple of these things, if you learn them, I'm sure they want to take you because they want someone who can help them with. Okay, that's one thing I want you to prepare while you are applying. Like, you can just tell them that, hey, I know these skills, I have this couple of skills, I can help you with this kind of stuff. And other than that, when you are applying, I think you can also mention that you're working on a couple of projects, but you can always work on review projects, right? Like, review projects are something you can write on your own. Like, if you have like 4 5 people around you, like 4 5 friends, all of you can just sit and then divide it into subtopics and then keep writing and then publish on your own. That way you increase your publications, and then you can say that I have good writing skills and stuff. And you also know how to do methodology part by this R data analysis and all that stuff. And I think these two things would really matter. And then always, if you don't have experience, I think it's a very unfortunate pathway, but I think people always are willing to take an unpaid position. That's, you should always be using that key. Hey, I'm here to learn, I want to learn more from you, is it possible that I can come and learn over you? And you can also use this as like, I'm going to apply for math cycle, is it possible for me to come and rotate with you, and that kind of stuff. Because he's not paying you anyways, you can at least use that as for your rotations and for your letters and etc. um, does this answer, or do you have any more?
Yeah, thank you very much. Could you repeat, like you mentioned some softwares which might be good to know, like Python or data analysis? Like,
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's software R, Python or MATLAB. Three of them, if you can learn it, they're pretty hard. I think engineering, if you're coming from engineering background, they're quite easy. But if you have as a medicine person, if you have experience in any of these things, you're definitely valued.
thank you very much.
Thank you for asking the question because I'd be a chatterbox and I'd just keep chatting with Harsha. But yeah, anybody else wants to ask, just raise your hands and you can just go ahead because it's a very new thing that we're trying. To Dr. Harsha actually for this. Generally, it's me talking and asking, but he was the one who suggested, no, I want to directly interact with them and I want to be like one on one with them. So if anybody has, just raise your hands. I'll be talking till then. The thing, so now you talk about your latest. I'm very, very interested on your latest machine learning and the AI aspect of this and everything. So,
Yeah.
can you tell us a bit about what you're doing? Because it's very, very, very innovative.
Yeah. So my interest in machine learning and artificial intelligence definitely starts in UC San Diego. So that's where we started. And my professor at Johns Hopkins is also very much interested in all that. So we started doing this couple of projects where predictive models are goal. For example, if a patient has undergone surgery using certain type of anesthesia, we should be able to predict if that patient is going to end up in delirium or not using all the stuff that like like based on his BMI, if he has diabetes or not, based on his age, sex, and all that. If you have certain, we can create an app or just introduce into the Epic by giving all this data, and then it should be able to predict that, oh, this patient is going to end up in a post-operative delirium, so we should be able to prevent it beforehand. This is one of that ideas that we have to be working on.
Awesome. That's so cool. That's actually so cool.
Yeah,
It will prevent like it will save a lot of lives and will prevent a lot of deaths, hopefully, like in the future.
yeah,
I
like
hope
yeah.
there are a lot of volunteers for that. So we have a few questions. They're saying, could you please tell us your different roles that you did play during your research and at different places?
Okay, so I think for UC San Diego, my main role was like learning. That was a volunteer position, and my PI was kind enough to teach me how to make these models and how to get used to it and all that stuff. And in UC San Diego, I also learned how to gather the data from EMR, getting an Epic access, and all that. So that's what I did in UC San Diego. And then if you can see my CV, it says remote research volunteer. So at University of Minnesota. So whenever I say remote research volunteer, I mainly used it for a title, but the person who I work with, he is a chief of, I think, a nephrology. So I helped him with like 5, 6 papers. And then but then so before I wanted to come to Johns Hopkins, I asked him if I can come to University of Minnesota for a paid position, but he was like he doesn't have any funding. So I thought I should just use this somehow. So I asked him if I can mention in my CV that I am a research volunteer under you. He said, yeah, sure. So I think I've been working with him quite a while. So I think it was mainly review projects and case studies because it's a remote thing, right? So that's the only thing I could do. So that's what I did in University of Minnesota. And at Johns Hopkins, my PI does a lot of basic science work. And when I came here, we started artificial intelligence and machine learning stuff. So basic science, it was first time for me to handle animals, so it was kind of learning and that. And my professor also had a lot of pending projects which were to be completed. So I helped him complete all that stuff. If this answers the question of Gayatri, I think. Oh, not Gayatri, thoroughly. Yeah.
Okay, so as can you share a template? Yes, I'll do that on my page. And the other thing was the next question was I have step two and OET in June and don't have any prior research experience and I have to apply for this math season. So can it be done in a short time? And if so, where to learn about research?
Hmm. So I think whenever people think of research, it's not mandatory to have research on your application. Research is just a brownie point for you. It's like you should have a very good score, you should have good LORs, you should have good letters, and then on top of the brownie, on top of it, you have a brownie point saying, "Hey, I have this kind of research experience." That's like a boom. That's like definitely it's going to help. So if you just don't want to rush, Jasleen, you just don't want to rush anything, I want you to take step two really, really well, and then OET, and then get ECFM to certified. Apply this math cycle. After you apply for the math cycle, if you have time, you can look into research and get more publications if you want. But right now, just don't, during that short time, I don't think it's necessary for you to rush things and go into research. If things go bad and if you don't match, that's when you look up into step three and research. I think somehow you should improve the CV, right? So that's where step three and research comes in.
So they said you mentioned about so okay, before asking a question, I would ask like I wanted to ask this question as well, a very frame question. We know about like what is research broadly, but a person like me who has no idea about like how to get into research or what do I even like, where do I even search for it?
Hmm.
Like, where would you suggest?
So, I think, so yeah, that's a very good question. So what I would do as a very newbie is that I would choose one institution that is my favorite. For example, let's say Johns Hopkins University, okay? And I would choose anything related to internal medicine, right? So I would choose Department of Cardiology, Critical Care Medicine, or anything. First,
And
let's
this is
say,
on the website. This is on
yeah,
the
yeah,
website.
this is on the
Okay, this is
website.
on the website. Okay.
Yeah, you go to the website and then
Mhm,
see, let's say, gastroenterology.
mhm,
As soon as you go into the gastroenterology, they have lots of people's names saying that this person has this kind of interest, this person is here. So what I would do next is that I would copy that person's name and go to PubMed. Okay. You go to the PubMed and then PubMed, you search that person's name. So
mhm,
if this person has a corresponding author or something, there will be an email over there. So you go to that email and then
mhm,
say that, hey, I read this article of yours. It's very interesting.
mhm.
Would it be possible for me to chat more regarding all this stuff and all that? That's
Okay.
one way to do it. And some websites already have a very detailed description of the professor, what they do, and they have separate websites, and they always
Mhm.
have the email on them. So if you can reach out to them directly, that helps. But I think most websites don't do so. Choosing one institution, one department, one professor, and then going to the PubMed and then searching the email out and then sending a good email would definitely help.
Awesome. And so now the next question would be, yes, I am applying. I have found those emails. What do I say in them and what do I put in the email? So they'll be like, yes, this is some candidate that is good.
So, so there are two things when I email. One is a paid position, one is an unpaid position, right? So
Okay.
when I don't have any experience, I would go for an unpaid position.
Mhm,
Okay. If I already have a certain experience, I would say I would choose for the paid position because I think in United States, paid and unpaid make a lot of difference. So if you definitely want a position,
mhm,
emailing them, I am more than happy to come and volunteer for your work, happy to learn from you. I
mhm,
think that's like a very good impression for them that, oh, yeah, okay, this person wants to come here for free. Like, I would have this person for free. But what would you ask for return is the rotations and the letters and all that stuff. So that's how I do it. And if you already have a certain experience, I would stick to that and I would ask them that, hey, this is all the experience that I have gained. I have this kind of publications. I have like 20, 30 publications or how many. I'm very good with writing and everything. So can you just please, do you have time to talk or anything? And people don't respond. People don't respond. So you should always send up a follow-up email and do not forget to attach your CV to your email that, hey, just look into my CV or anything. And the email shouldn't be like a very huge thing, but it should be like a very sweet and short where he can just go through glance. By default has this web link where you can give the link, it reads the link, and then you can give a task.
no way, seriously.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
it could be a LinkedIn link and then they would read it and then you'd write,
Yeah, it can be
what?
anything or website link or a PubMed paper saying,
Mhm.
"Hey, write a letter of interest for me to join research under this professor," and then it'll beautifully write down all that.
What? That is crazy. That is something that I did not know. That's a very nice point, Dr. Harsha. Like I loved it. So the next thing would be like I've also sent out like when I've like was trying to do like search for Observer and everything, and I would go to websites and I would search for like people, and they would be like the most of the emails would be associated with like research. So and I would limit my search initially to only Indians or who I thought were Indians or who I thought were like from what do you
Yeah.
think about that?
Uh, I think initially when I apply, I don't really see the race or any. I didn't, but this is a very personal thing, and I have no offense to anyone. I would choose non-Indians over Indians. I would choose preferably white or any other PIs because as far as my experience, as far as my friend's experience or something, I have seen Indian PIs to be a bit more uh toxic, I guess. But I did not have any Indian PI, so I haven't faced any of that stuff. But I've seen people facing a couple of struggles because of the Desi PIs and stuff. So I don't know. I think I would
I've
definitely,
heard the same. That
yeah,
is the reason I bought this up because, and then to be honest, I wouldn't even get one reply back from all the Indian people. And then I started randomly doing it, and I was like, no, like, screw this. I'm not going to do only India. I'm not going to be only selective. So when I did email broadly, that's when I started getting positive replies. So I think that happens. This is sort of the reality of the situation, and you would better be safe than sorry. So that would be
true.
the bottom line.
Yeah.
So
You don't
you,
want to regret by going into that position and then be like, oh, I shouldn't have come here, because I know my friends who are in such labs where they don't get time to do anything they can, and then it's like 9 to 5 to 7 some days, and then they ask them to join weekend calls and stuff. I think it's just toxic. It gets toxic. But
Mhm. And
but
also, I've heard they don't give LORs because one of the like person who I emailed, he was like, "Yeah, I only do research, but don't expect any LOR from me." And I was like, "Okay." And I
So
was,
yeah, so that's what I do. So whenever I attend a Zoom interview with any PI, I
Mhm,
always make sure that they know what I want.
mhm,
Okay, I should be valued. Okay, I'm coming and working for you free, sure. But what do I get in return?
mhm,
Right? Like, I mean, I want a rotation, I want a letter. If I
mhm,
think this person definitely is guaranteeing me that this is what he can give me, I'd be like, oh yeah, sure, I'll come and work with you, even if it's free. That's what
mhm,
I think. You shouldn't lower yourself just because you are an IMG, just because he's giving you a visa or anything. You are working for him, you are learning, and I'm sure learning doesn't take more than 2 to 3 months or something, but you're willing to stay for 1 year for him. I think you should always think of what you want to do. Like, what are you getting out of this is definitely important.
Okay, so and now since you mentioned it very beautifully, we're just like going to transition into the fact that what happens after you are selected for a research position?
So after you are selected for a research position, it depends upon the institution's policies and paperwork. For every institution, it's really, really different. Since I moved two different institutions, it was quite different for me. So when I first came to UC San Diego, after I got selected, that was I was selected in December. Okay, so I met my PI in India, like through the Zoom in December, which is such a bad period to meet anybody, because December is totally gone for holidays. No one is willing to do anything in December. No one wants to do anything in December until January 5th or like anything.
Mm-hmm.
So in January, they send an email saying, "Hey, we are reaching out for regarding this paperwork and all that stuff." So they will send you an offer letter saying that, "Hey, you are selected. You can just sign it back." So after you sign it and send it back, they'll give you a couple of more paperwork. After that paperwork is completed, like all your legal stuff, like your passport, all that is done, you fill in the details, they'll send you a DS 2019 for a J1 research visa.
Okay,
So
okay.
you
Mm-hmm.
get that J1 research visa.
Mm-hmm.
J1 research, for that J1 research visa, you have to go to the US Embassy in India, attend the interview along with the
Mm-hmm.
DS 2019. And then I think if it gets approved, you just come back to US and then do that. But after you get into one institution and then you want to change to another institution while you're in United States, you don't have
Mm-hmm.
to go through a visa thing or anything. It's a direct transfer of J1 from one institution to the other institution. So it's quite easy and it gets done in a week or something. So it's not much hurdle. So I think
Awesome.
that's what happens after you get it. Like, but there are people who have, I know a couple of labs in Johns Hopkins where they take people for volunteer positions, but they have series of interviews, like at
Mm-hmm.
least 5, 6 of interviews. Like, oh my God, like why? Like, I mean, I just don't understand. You would know in the first two meetings that if this person is definitely worth it or not. Like, so they'll have series of interviews and then they have funding documents and all that going on.
Okay. So this is like a big deal. So when you do commit to this, you're supposed to commit 100%. You can't like leave in between because some people come there and they're like, "Oh, I can't do this. It's too taxing." And have you heard about anybody who has left in between and what are the consequences of that?
I think you're always free to leave whenever you want. There's
Okay.
no such think that you're bound to stay here.
Mm-hmm.
If it really gets toxic to you or anything, you're always free to leave. But if you leave the position, I think there's some policies regarding J1 visa of when you can enter back or anything. That's what something you have to look up into. But other
Mm-hmm.
than that, you're just free to leave whenever you want if it gets really toxic or anything. But like I wouldn't suggest you to like I would suggest if you have not done your steps, just go
Mm-hmm.
back to your home country, complete your steps, and come back. Like, or just complete your steps and then come back to research or something like that.
Awesome. We have two questions. One of them was, again, it was difference between the value of LORs and observer versus hands-on versus externships.
Oh, okay. So do you suggest hands-on or even observerships? So I think many people get into this weird confusion of electives, observerships, hands-on. But
Mm-hmm.
what I noticed is ERAS doesn't really have a description of what is like in the ERAS CV. You
Mm-hmm.
really don't get like what's an observership. Like I'm sure
You
you can.
don't get the section. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's no section in there. Yeah.
there's no
Yeah.
such, you just have 10 experiences and you can fill whatever you want and anything, right? So I think hands-on experience definitely more valued than observerships. For example, I wanted to do one observership in at Johns Hopkins. That was a hospitalist. That person was a hospitalist. So when I went and I talked for the observership and I wanted a letter out of observership, the first question she asked was, I'm more than happy to have you as an observer, but
Mm-hmm.
what do you want me to write in the letter? You're just coming and observing.
Okay.
That makes sense, actually. So I think, yeah,
Yeah.
right? You're just coming and observing. So how do I assess you? How do I know you better? What do you come for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, any months, but what do I have to do? That's the problem with Americans right here, right?
I
Like
mean, she is right. She is right, but it is like we
yeah.
need our LORs as well.
Exactly, right. So then I came up with this idea that okay, every day I would come and discuss a topic with you. I would prepare, like
Mm-hmm.
for example, type 1 diabetes or type 2 diabetes. I would come and discuss with you that all the treatment management and everything. And other thing which I suggested was after when we see every patient, you ask me first what's the next step that I want to do, the management, what that I want to do for every patient that we see. And then she also suggested preparing drug charts for every patient and distributing to them. So I did these three tasks, which were kind of interactive with the patients. That way she was able to assess, and then she wrote the letter, and then I could upload that letter. In the end, I did not see the letter, so I don't know what was there.
What went in there?
Anyways, I just got a letter from her, so that's what all I needed. So I think how you use your skills to get all these things.
That's very smart of you, by the way. If somebody would have asked me, what do you want me to observe in you? I would have gone blank and I'd be like, she is right. I mean, there's
Yeah,
nothing that I can do. Like, but
blank
very
first.
innovative thinking. Like, very
Yeah.
innovative thinking. It is a different thinking that I really like. The next question was, do universities offer observerships after you worked as a research assistant over there?
I think for observerships, it really doesn't matter for you to have a formal affiliation or anything. But I think if your professor allows you and if you find a certain physician who you can observe with, that's more than happy for them. That's all it matters as an observership.
Okay. Everybody, please log back in because I think it's going to end in 1 minute. I'm so sorry. I didn't see, and I just saw like on top it was less than 1 minute. I'm so sorry. Is that okay, Harsha? I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure, sure. Yeah.
Um forget that. Okay, so the question was, can we work as a research like assistant for 1 month on B1, B2? That was the
Mm.
question.
I don't think, no, United States doesn't allow to do any kind of research on B1, B2 visa. B1, B2 is only for tourism and pleasure. So I don't think you are allowed to do any kind of research. Yeah. So,
Do you know any like stories which have ended up badly after doing research? Or like,
so yeah. So I think I know a friend who was along with me, who was like a year senior to me, but he already had 2 years of research experience. He got 4 to 5 interviews last time, only because of his PI, but yet he didn't match.
Okay. So,
So I think that's something to be taken like into consideration, that research doesn't guarantee you that you're gonna match or anything, because there are several other factors that play into a role. But this time he applied to 5 different specialties: FM, internal medicine, pediatrics, med peds, and I think there's FMIM, I guess, some 5 different specialties.
mhm.
He ended up getting 15 interviews and he matched. And his
Okay,
PI,
I need to know who this person is because I need to interview this guy now. I'm like, I need to hear his story
so
because
this
I'm like,
guy,
sorry.
so his PI wrote 5 different LORs for him. Yes,
Wow.
five
That
different LORs for him. So I think that's what the support of a mentor definitely is. Like he, my PI also was there was a phase for me where I didn't get any interviews, right?
mhm,
So my PI was as worried as I was. Harsha, what's happening? You're not getting interviews. What do I have to do? What do we have to do? Is there anything
that's
that, yeah, right? So I mean, I'm like, this is just enough. I mean, I don't care if I match or not. I'm just so grateful to be working with this person, and he's been really helpful for me. But
yes.
that's the support that you're looking for in a research mentor.
Yeah. So it can be like how long, it can be like if you're finding it toxic, you can come out, but it is for a certain amount of time. You're committed to it, you're going into it, you're going to do the research aspect of it. Are
Yep.
there any things about like suppose if you said like how like what you're supposed to I'm sorry. What you're supposed to like, do to get there. First you told us go on the website. So you told us how to do it. You told us like what to write in the email. You told us like how to like, reach out to people and how to find people. And then you told us the process of in between. Is there anything that you found particularly difficult doing research in like USA?
Um, so I think initially it's definitely difficult when you first move from India to USA. Like, I mean, you have to go through the process of loneliness and all that. And I think cooking for yourself, living by yourself, everything is a huge task. And besides that, you feel very inferior that you don't know what to do in this research. That I'm talking about my first experience in San Diego. So I didn't know what to do, like what's research, how do I come up with. But my suggestion would be always feel free to ask whatever it is. I mean, you just don't want to do a mistake or any kind of that stuff, or you just don't want to lag behind your work. Rather, I'm sure you will get good colleagues. I'm sure you'll find colleagues as friends. So just ask anything that you want to be a outgoing person, be expressive, and then seek out for help, reach to PIs whenever you have to. I think within a gap of like 3 months or 4 months, you should definitely be good to go. That, hey, it's been like it'll be really, really wonderful to like you'll start loving it, right? You'll start
Mm-hmm.
loving it. And I was this person when I had this intention of research is just to get me into matched.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, and many people have that thing. I'm not
Yes.
saying that's wrong, but I think definitely everybody has this perspective that, oh, research is just for me to get matched. I just need publications to get matched and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But research helps you a long way, trust me. Like it helps you to get into a fellowship that you want to if you have publications. And all this work, it's not really gonna go waste, right?
Yes.
Like your the fellowships are getting competitive. So if you want a good competitive specialty, it's just like how much research you have, how you stand out of other applicants, right? So
Yes.
that's really important if you're taking time to, as well as do it much better.
Okay, so we have a question in the question box which says, after a doctor agrees to write an LOR, how do we ensure that the letter wouldn't be generic and would be personalized?
So how do we ensure that the letter wouldn't be generic and would be personalized? Huh. Okay, interesting question. Maybe whenever we reach out for them to write a LOR, you send an email, right? So in the email, I would uh, mention certain personalized stuff that I had to interact with that person.
Mhm.
Like if there was some specific case that where I was really good at explaining it, like good at management skills, in the email you go and you mention, you can frame it much better, but you can go and mention that it was really happy for me, it was really acknowledging for me that I could get a management plan out of this case under you. Like just give them a
Oh,
sting saying that, hey, this has happened. Why don't you mention this into the letter?
oh.
I
Mhm.
mean, that's what you can do, or you can always go and ask the person directly. For me, I think you should always be in the policy of there's nothing harm in asking. There's
Mhm.
nothing harm in asking. Sometimes it does, maybe, but then there's nothing harm in asking. You just go ahead and just ask that, hey, it would be really great. I'm applying for this match. As an international graduate, it's really, really hard for me to match. Like, it's
Mhm.
really hard for me to get interviews as well. It would be
Mhm.
really amazing if you can write an extraordinary, strong letter. Don't hesitate to ask for a strong letter.
Mhm.
Don't. Always ask for a strong letter.
Yes, please go ahead, unmute yourself and ask your question, Charles.
Uh, Hello, Dr. Harsha. So I want to ask something about the publications and how program directors view it, or the residency programs view it.
Mm.
I want to ask two things. One, um, I have submitted some articles for publication, and so in them, being the like which number of author I am, like am I the second author, third author, fourth or sixth or first, how much does that affect it? That's the first question. The second is, um, what would be like, so if I have submitted, or maybe a few of them have been published, what would be like a good number of articles to be submitted for them to at least consider it as, like, if it is just one or two, they may not like consider it big. Like, what would you suggest as? Because I remember you saying earlier that you could say that I've done 20 publications or something like that. Is that like a number, any number that will be like a decent number to have as publications? Thank you.
So, if you don't mind me asking, what's the amount of publications that you have and how many have you submitted so that I can give a personalized answer to you?
Um, I have done 6 submissions so far.
Okay.
I'm not, but I'm thinking before I apply, I'm applying in separate. So I've done my steps. So this is the only thing that I'll be doing, like while I'm working right now. So I'm thinking like what would be a good number, because there are people who are like sort of sitting to just do part of them and all. I don't want to do that. I want to work on my own. So I'm trying to see like what would be like a good number. So when I apply, it'll look pleasing.
Yeah, I get
First
it.
of all, congratulations, you have 6 publications. I am a PG and I have only three. So kudos to you. And I know Harsha, I can't even compare myself with him. So I'm very like not even
Thank
like
you.
in the this thing, like
So,
field.
see,
Thank you. But I've
Rashmi
only
had,
submitted them, none have been published yet, but thank you.
yeah, Rashmi had three, yet she matched, right? So I also have 24, yet I matched. So this gives you an answer that it really doesn't matter the number of publications that you have. And if you have, for me, so when you ask how program directors look, how the interviewers look and stuff, that's what I'm going to answer first. So for me, during my interview, they have all of your application in front of you. They have your research, everything in front of you, right? So I had 24 publications when I submitted my application, and I had 10 to 15 articles in submission. So they obviously can't go and ask one thing, hey, how did you do this, or what did you do this? And then they were like, hey, how did you do this much research? Everything was an all-out question, that how were you able to publish this much of research? What was the key behind all this stuff? But when you have 3 or 4 publications, definitely if you are the first author or not plays a role. But and also it would also play a role if it was a PubMed index journal or not. That plays a role. And there is no number for you to have. Even if you have 3 to 4 publications in a very good journal, very good topic, and if you are in like third or fourth position, that's totally okay. It really doesn't matter. But if it's like a very review paper in Curious or something, and it's like not that Curious is bad, but then how Curious is, and any other journals where you can just easily just publish it, and it's like they can definitely know that what kind of research you have been doing. So when you have like 3 to 4 good publications, and that would definitely outweigh if you have like 60-40 of like average or below average publications. It would definitely give the number for them, but for you, I think number really doesn't matter. Just keep on going. Just keep on going. This, I think, for me, I would suggest never stop this until it has to stop. Just keep on going until you get what you have to get, right? Just keep publishing how much you can. That's what really matters. Just I think 6 is a very good number, but people always have higher desire. So maybe I would say 10. Just aim. Should have a goal, right? Like you should goal. You know how your real time works for you, how much time you have, right? So just set up a goal for September. I should have 10 submissions, or like 16 submissions or 15 submissions, and work towards that goal. Don't compare yourself with someone else. Just be prepared to answer the questions that you would get in an interview based on your own research. I'm sure there are PDs who ask this type of research. What did you do in this research? What type of methodology did you use, and all that stuff. So just be prepared for that.
Awesome.
You have different type of articles, right? You have
Yeah.
original articles, you have review articles, you have systematic
Mhm.
reviews, you have meta-analysis, you have case reports. All of this come under the published part, right?
Okay, so all of those, like even if they're like, review articles, and if they're like, everything
Everything.
comes under like the thing, and then they can apply, like, go ahead and apply for this.
Yeah.
Okay, Visa. So this was one of the questions. The other thing was somebody was congratulating you. I saw over here. They said they worked with you.
Yeah.
Where is it? One second. Oh, so it says, hello, Dr. Boppana, and this is coming from Namrata. Devi. Hello, Dr. Boppana. Congratulations on your match. I've been emailing a few doctors in John Hopkins, but no acceptance so far. As a graduate, what else can I do, or whom can I approach for getting accepted into John Hopkins for an observer or research assistant?
So I think it's not a surprise that no one responds to the email. It's always how it is. I'm sorry for that. But then, so two things when you mention observership and research assistant position. For research assistant position, you have Johns Hopkins has a website where they give a listings of all the vacant positions for research fellows and postdoc research fellows. Even though if there's no listing or if there's something already be filled, they'll have the supervisor, the PI's email ID over there. You can always reach out to them saying that, hey, I'm interested in. That way you can approach. That way you know that this person already has funding and they're looking for you. So they're looking for someone else, so you can always reach out to them. So every university has a website for the unfilled postdoc fellows. That way you can reach out for the research assistant or the postdoc fellow. And for the observership, Johns Hopkins has a separate program for observership, which I don't know if many people know it or not. So it's under the volunteer services of Johns Hopkins. It has very minimum basic criteria. You should be 18 years old, you should have an ID card, some kind of stuff. But the key is to find someone who can allow you to come and observe. Like finding a physician to come and observe is the key. So when you can find a physician who can you can come, you go to the portal of the Johns Hopkins volunteer services and fill out the dates, that these are the certain dates I want to come and observe under Dr. Rashmi, etc. And then they give you an ID card, they give you an ID saying observer and etc. and stuff. So that's how observerships work at Johns Hopkins.
Okay, and then this is from Mohammed Ryan. He said he's from Pakistan. He worked along with you, and he appreciates your work and your amazing and splendid research skills. He was wondering what would it take to get a paid research position versus a volunteer.
So I think for paid research position, experience, every PI would look for different kind of experience. So when I want to look, when if I'm doing a basic science, if my lab is more basic science, I would want something who already has basic science experience, who can do ELISA, who can do Western blot, who can cut mouse brains and other kind of stuff. I want that person when I'm hiring someone. I don't want someone who I have to teach all from the beginning, right? So it depends upon the lab of anything, but as a student, you can always have come and say that you have experience in writing the manuscript, and you can always help them with the methodology part with all the softwares I have mentioned earlier.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So now the next question that I would have was, so this research position, it told me that, like, you said that it did help you in your LOR, it did help you with, you got a mentor from it, and then it also helped you, like get, like your mentor help reach out to other people. So what other benefits of research, doing a research in USA are there?
When you say this, when you ask this question, the first thing that I get in mind is I have made excellent friends here at Johns Hopkins. I think the perks of being in a place like, having a very good support system is definitely there. So if you want to talk about what other things research has helped me is get me support system for the math cycle. I think my friends here at Hopkins, we all stay in the same building. So it's been amazing. So whenever I feel stressed, they're always here. We always try to have one meal a day, at least once. So, like, whenever I was really stressed. So none of these people were medical persons. Like, I mean, none of these people were like in the same path as I was. So I chose not to have any USMLE friends when I came to Johns Hopkins because I know if I would be surrounded by more USMLE, my phone, my Instagram is always with USMLE before I was applying for before I matched. Right,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't want a more USMLE. I don't want anything. So all of these people are in either in PhD or like going to PhD. So just being having that good support system, it was really nice. And then even before residency, you get exposed to how United States can be, how good this can be. Like I just love being here. I just love whatever I'm doing right here. So I think getting that experience, if this is the perfect choice for you or not, that's really nice. And you get access to the healthcare of US, like you have Epic access. You get used to the Epic right before any other resident before you get matched. That's really nice for you to have. And what other perks? I think you can just enjoy being here. Like, you're in United States, they give you a visa. You have weekends off, you have friends, so you can just go out and chill and do anything.
Awesome. Awesome. So they were asking, there was one question with, can you please mention the softwares again? And the other, yeah, the
Oh, I
soft.
think the softwares are software R, Python, and MATLAB, or any other research softwares. You can just go to Google and search what are the softwares that would help for me to get a research position, or just ask anybody. They would just give a couple of softwares, but these three are the basic stuff.
Okay, awesome. So basically, the next question would be, um, from Jayant. Hello, sir. Wanted to know if taking courses before applying to the research position would help me find a research position such as Malke Assad. The things that are offered by like Malke Assad, and I know there are a lot of like research
Oh, I know.
agencies.
I know.
What do you think about that? What's your opinion on that? That's a very nice question, by the way.
Yeah,
I
very
want
good
to know
question.
what.
So
Mm-hmm.
I think Malke Assad, I don't know how those things definitely help, but please be mindful when you're spending money on any other thing. Just don't be just because but I mean there are many Instagram influencers with like 50K, like 60K followers. So just don't be in a thought that whatever they say is correct just because they have huge number of followers. That's not true. Just because they have followers, it doesn't really mean that their courses they offered are legit and they help you in research or anything. I think it's always important for you to talk to someone who has already gone through that process, like for me or Rashmi or anybody who has a varied experience, who you can talk to directly. Like, our chat boxes are always open, so you can always DM and reach out. Hey, this is what that's a very better idea to do rather than taking all this stuff. Like, I don't know how legit, or I have never looked into those stuff, and I don't follow such people because they always come up with saying, I don't know, I've seen many pages where they say resources for USMLE step one, and they give the basic U World, UWSA 1, 2, and stuff, and they make a reel, and that reel has like so many like 10K to 20K views. I mean, what is even there in that reel?
What are
What
you
is wrong?
providing in the
Yeah,
information that
exactly,
is different than
exactly.
people know?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what's the point? Like, I just don't encourage such kind of people. So I really don't know. But other than that, the courses would be definitely. I think Harvard has a course, and like Hopkins has many courses, free courses. If you can take them, that really is helpful. But two things which definitely helpful would be helpful is like having prior publications and learning the software which I mentioned.
Awesome. The next question was, hello, Dr. Rathod and Dr. Boppana. Congrats on your match. I'm sorry if I was already addressed earlier. I'm a graduate looking for J1 sponsored research assistant. How can we go about looking for research positions, finding the faculty? So this one, I think I can like cover it because now I'm very like, into this because now I know Harsha educated me. So first website, then department, then see if any of the professors are doing research. Go to PubMed because they'll have articles, and in that they'll have the email of the author, and that's how you can reach out. Am I right?
That's perfect. Yeah. And also certain websites have openings, certain universities have openings of the stuff, right? So you can always go to those opening email IDs and then email if you have still have the position vacant, or if you have anybody you can connect
Yes.
me or anything like
Yes,
that.
and I know Dr. Anil Casey. I think you should follow him on LinkedIn, Dr. Anil Casey. He does put up like positions because he has a lot more connections as well than me. So he does put up like time to time this position is available. Or
That's
that's,
great.
that's you all obviously all of you already follow Dr. Harsha Boppana. He's amazing. Anyways, so hey Dr. Boppana, nice to meet you. Could you please share how to learn? I'm sorry, I can't see it. How to learn as a beginner about selecting a good, meaningful topic for review article? This is a good question because, yeah,
Oh yeah,
what is
that's
a good topic?
so so for me, whenever you say what's a good topic, yeah, so for me, if I like gastroenterology, I would say I would say go through the PubMed articles of your topic of interest, right? For example, like if I take IBD, right? You go to PubMed and search for IBD and go through the articles, titles, and all that, and see how the research, like what's the research is going on and all that. So after that, you get an idea of what kind of research is happening, what kind of research has to be done.
Mhm,
But as far as good topic is concerned, I think any topic which is very new, very innovative, which is
mhm,
different from anybody would stand out as really well. I think nowadays people are more concentrated on AI and machine learning. So whenever you do something related to that, that catches an eye-catching topic should be really there. So as a beginner, selecting a good, meaningful topic, I think that's how the more search you do on PubMed, the better idea you get on which topic you have to select, right? Like,
okay.
read, go through the articles, and then think, hey, yeah, this is what I want to do. Like, I mean, you
Mhm,
would get an idea, oh, this topic is like very little known. So I want to write more about this topic. That's how you
mhm.
get into that topic.
Yeah, that was an amazing question because, like, even I've had previously also, they're like, where do we begin? What is like a good topic, like, and that is beautifully explained by you. And so you go and whatever is like, so if you are, so first, what I would advise the like, viewers would be first choose a specialty. That's the
Yes.
first thing you're going to do.
Yes.
First, choose a specialty. Don't be like, oh, you know what, any research, I'll take it because there are a lot of like fake agencies out there who are going to like scam you, who are going to like, take money from you and just give you a third out because even I've heard that, have you heard about those?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have heard people who pay a couple of $100, I guess, for a like your first author, second author. I've seen on Facebook and Instagram people promoting, legitly promoting. I don't know how they're doing it, but yeah.
My internship experience is one of the meaningful experiences in my CV. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I did that. I did include my internship as the one of the experiences.
Mm.
But for me, yeah, for me, internship was in 2020. So I think I did COVID. That was all COVID. So I did a lot of work during COVID. So I chose it as one of the meaningful experiences. You can definitely do that, Trivikram.
Then you have Hello Doctors. What kind of remote research was more impactful in your match if someone can't afford to go for research position or has no resources?
I think remote research is really not as much as valued as a in-person research. I mean, when I say this, it's because if you get publications out of remote research, yeah, well and good. Even if you get in-person research, I think research is more not only for getting publications, right? Now, at this point, it's about how good you have a rapport with your mentor, how
Mhm.
you can make connections. So when I'm at Johns Hopkins, I can go directly meet the program director of internal medicine. I can just
Wow.
mail and I can go set up a time and then just go meet. If you're in a remote position, you wouldn't have access to any of that. If you're in sitting in India and doing that.
Mhm.
So what I'm trying to say is, it's not only for publications, it's not only for research at this
Mhm.
point when you want to match. It's
Mhm.
about showing your face to people, coming and talking to people
Mhm.
and saying how interested you are in person. That really
Mhm.
is important.
Yeah, I was advised the same when I was in Kentucky. One of my seniors, she's very lovely. She was like, set up a meeting with the PD. And I was like, this was my first time even coming for an observer. And I was like, can anybody do that? Like, she was like, yeah, just set up the meeting with the PD. Like, our like child neurology PD loved me. So that was not the PD she was talking about. She was talking about the PEDS PD. She was like, go set up a meeting with the PEDS PD. So they're going to interview you as well. So there are like definitely meaningful relations and connections that you form which will give you very nice ideas um how to go about your math cycle. So this says, hello sir, hello again. You mentioned about research new projects. Please explain a bit more about the source of your originals and how you published. Okay, so this is like a very nice question. Mhm.
Yeah. So for me, I think, as I said, the medical school central research laboratory definitely helped. But other than that, there was my junior in another medical college who already has like 100 publications.
Who
While
are these people?
no,
Who
his name
are
is,
these people?
follow him on LinkedIn. His name is Dr. Simhachalam Kuttikuppala. He is an amazing person. So when I met him, that he was the main for me to go through all the research to navigate me through the process and all that. So for me, he helped me. So I help people, but for me, he was the main step for me to go through all of these things and all.
So
We still do research, so I think that's how we can do it. Can you share your junior's name again? Okay.
I think it was senior, no? Senior,
No,
no?
he's
Junior.
my junior only. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So his name is Dr. Simhachalam Kuttikuppala. I'm sure you can find him on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then so now when it comes to the publishing aspect, and I was so frustrated when I
Hmm.
used to submit articles.
No, I know. Yeah.
So I was like, first of all, I have to search. How do you search which is a good even research, like, publication? Like, which publisher is good? How do you know?
So, for me, whenever I had a paper, I always show it to my mentors, in the PIs. I show it to them, and they always come up with one, two, three, four, five, that this should be our first choice. If they are rejecting it, we'll go to this. And these should be selected based on the index. It has to be a PubMed indexed impact factor, definitely. But I think other important things to consider as a student is that how long would they come back to you with a decision? You don't want them to review the paper for like a month or like 2 months or something and then just have it with them and that stuff, right? The basic thing would be like 20 days, right? So you should have a decision by 20 days. So choosing the timeline for you is important. And most of these journals definitely take a lot of time for you to accept. After they accept, like even before accept, they ask you to go through many revisions and stuff. So it's really
Mm.
hard for you to go through the stuff, like to publish and all that, so everybody understands it's a very time taking and long stuff, right? So I think
And also the cost of the research, like if you submit an article, how do you like navigate that part? Because it's
yeah, so if me and Simhachalam or our friends are doing, it's mostly going to be a free journal. We don't do a paid journal. There are journals where if they accept, they just publish it for free. But if they're asking for money, I always include my research mentor or anybody as a corresponding author, so he gets the credit of the paper, and
Mhm.
he pays for the APC's acceptance publication charges. So that way, we both are
That
equal.
is smart. I spent a lot of money, Harsha, like you don't know. Okay, next question would be like after like which Indian publishers do you think are like even worth going towards?
I don't
Because we
think
know
it matters if it's an Indian stuff or it's an international stuff. I know there are certain journals where they mention, even if they're Indian, they mention International Journal of like Pulmonology or like something stuff. So it really, I don't think it's fair to give a grading of these journals are really good or something. It depends upon the paper and like that kind of stuff. Yeah.
and the index factor, I've noticed that also. Like what is that? What is the index factor and how important is it?
So I think as a researcher, as a student researcher, it really doesn't really matter. So once
Okay.
you are like MD, PhD, or like you're a PhD student, you can work on all that stuff. But right now, our goal is to get matched. So
Yes.
let's just think you should be in one of the two to three authors, the first two to three authors, or like like any authorship is good, but preferably the top three. And then if you can have good index, like PubMed index, that should be good for you. Like
Okay.
that's enough for now. Like, I don't think it really is
Yeah.
important for us.
That is true. That is true. Because the three that I've published, I've had such a pain with publishing them. I just was like, even though I do research, like I have like a lot of research like material, but I'm not even venturing in publishing it because I'm so scared now. I'm like, oh God, there's going to be so much of a process, we have to go through this, that. And I was like, okay, let us just hold on to it. But I think that is a wrong notion. What do you think? Do you think after some time you get a hang of it and it gets better by any
Yeah,
chance?
it definitely gets better. Now, as you said, I feel like, oh, I know it's going to be hard, but it can be done. It takes time, but so I think allotting like 1 hour or 2 hours and it's mostly paperwork, mostly administrative kind of stuff, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's not like um you know something where you have to actively recall your step one material or step two material. It's so much better than that. It's just like you have to go through a couple of papers, write something. You can use your Instagram or anything in between. It's just like a fun kind of work.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So, um, yeah. So yeah, so you are giving me hope, is what you're saying. And you're giving all our viewers also hope that research is not so bad. It gets better as it goes from one article to another to like a review. And you actually enjoying doing research, is
Yeah,
what I'm getting.
honestly, I'm saying initially when I started research, I was like, I just want to match with research. I just want to match, and that's what I'm considering research. But now I think when I am here, I think I want to keep doing it because I know what research is, like how it helps me, and now
Mhm.
I'm actually interested in taking this much further.
And how it affects like people's lives and patients' life, and it makes it much better. So, well, this is almost in conclusion because I always like keeping 2 minutes for like saying thank you so much,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Boppana. Like seriously, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I know, like, you've been so cordial, you've been so friendly, and I've loved interacting with you here and as well outside. You're just an amazing person and you have so much knowledge on research and you've shared a lot with us. Anything that you would want to say
No,
also?
I think that's really very, very, very sweet of you. I love being friends with you. That's very sweet of you. But other than that, if anybody who's willing to do research, coming to United States and doing research, I think having a very good family support, having a very good financial support in that matter. I'm really lucky. I'm very much grateful to my mom and my sister who have been really amazingly support for me.
Shout
So
out.
yeah,
Shout out to your mom and your sister.
sister. So they've been there throughout my journey. It's going to be a mental hectic journey. Like, it's one thing to attend this stuff from India. It's one thing to attend all of this USMLE stuff in United States. So I think having that support system is really important. Always take care of your mental health. Mental health first. It's okay if you don't match this cycle. Next cycle is always there. But just take care of yourselves.
Awesome. Awesome talking to you. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you guys for like asking questions. People are saying thank you, Dr. Rashmi and Dr. Harsha, for these deep insights. And you guys are absolutely great mentors. That made my day. Thank you, Raman Malik. That really made my day. So bye guys. Logging off usmle.info.